some people joining us. So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Um, so, I thought maybe what we begin with today was some basic understandings which help us to recognize where our distress may stem from and how we can navigate as the absurdities around us become more and more evident. Um, so, first question is, would you know you are if you didn't have a mind? It's a question, right? Would you know, or how do you know you are without a mind? How would you be able to articulate that? Is a mind necessary? And you would have to come to the conclusion, yeah, without it, we are unable to communicate, can't have language, can't think, can't have logic, and can't know what we are, right? Or what we are not. So once we use that logic and come to that thought experiment, so to speak, excuse the pun, we realize that the mind is an essential element of us. Then the next question is, well, what do you know about it? Right? Because once you know something, you have some understanding and control over it. Yep. So there are two ways you can approach knowledge. Knowledge can either be used for control or knowledge can be used to liberate yourself. One or two ways. So in this process, we will first begin with how we use it to control. So the first knowledge is through meditation, we begin to recognize that when we are trying to focus, we are distracted by some thoughts or we are distracted by a noise. But there's a distraction. There's an external distraction and then there's an internal distraction. Once we begin to recognize that this is persistent, it always happens. It's not one off, it just always happens. We begin to see that some of these distractions have a story attached to them. They go somewhere. So we are distracted by someone visiting us tomorrow. We are distracted by what we have to do with work. We are distracted by the stresses of our life. And we begin to recognize that this distressing space, this mental storytelling space, is separate from the observer. And what do we mean? So when you're focusing on the breath and you get distracted, you know you've been distracted and you can bring yourself back. You can bring your awareness back to the breath. So what gets distracted is it hijacks your awareness. You get wrapped up in the story. Now, is that story part of your mind or is that something separate? Well, I would like to say that the understanding of the mind is very limited at the moment in general knowledge. So therefore, it's trying to describe to kindergarten something that someone may understand at a kind of a PhD level. It just doesn't, you can't communicate. It's just so far apart. But we can use some ideas to try and see whether it's true for us. One, can you think without language? What language do you think in? People who have two languages or three languages, which language do you think in? So I know when I'm in a particular community or a particular space, I may think in Punjabi, whereas when I'm with my friends and colleagues, I may think in English. So what language do we use to think? Can we think in a way that we haven't been taught? And how? This is where we recognize that the mind has an aspect of creativity. It doesn't always have to follow something. It has this organic expression. So it's an organic part of us, but there is a separation. There are two elements to it. So the mind, we can look at it as a container. Within the container is activity. That activity, we can describe it as our ego sense of self. We can describe it as our identity. It contains within it all your beliefs, your language system, the way you look at the world, what you perceive the world to be, your opinions, your beliefs, all of that is just a lens. And we operate through the lens. So that makes you you. That's the mask you wear, your identity. But you will recognize that this identity that you and I and everyone possesses isn't the mind. It's your ego. It's your identity. And it's that which gets stimulated. It's that which reacts. It's that which gets insulted. It's that which gets angry. It's that which wants things to be different. Once you begin to recognize, I have this activity and I can regulate it. What do I mean by that? When someone pokes it and I get angry, I recognize I'm getting angry. I use emotional intelligence first to recognize I am getting angry or anger is within me. And then we use emotional wisdom. How do I respond with this? Is this enough for me to take a step? Or is this enough for me to say, yeah, let it go? Right? This is emotional wisdom. All of this can only come through if we first begin to recognize this is the way it operates. We need a model. And the model is simple. Your awareness, your consciousness, my consciousness is like the mirror. It's the light bulb. There are different analogies we can use. Light bulbs are normally a good one. So it's a light bulb in the middle of a lamp. And the lampshade is your egoic sense of self. And we always identify with the lampshade and never with the light. And as a result, the lampshade responds to existence as it's stimulated, what it watches on TV, what it sees in real life. So we begin to realize, okay, if we have these patterns, we have this ability for this ego to be created and to be influenced, then we realize there are real things. Let me give you how easy it is to manipulate this. So you watch any of the TV right now, any of the main news channels, and you'll see very little mentioning of the absolutely atrocious states um, that are being experienced in countries around the world, whether it's Bulgaria, whether it's part of Turkey, whether it's part of Greece, whether it's part of Croatia. I think they had it today. Italy, um, Punjab, Kashmir, Pakistan, the countries being flooded, where there are reports of water being 5 foot near the Red Fort in India. Yet you don't see that. Yet we will have so much coverage of a few eco trippers blocking the road. See what I'm saying? Yeah, we focus on the trivial and we ignore the real. 5 people trying to block Hanger Lane is a priority for some, but several tens of millions of people being wiped out. Just think about this. Those people who have had the privilege of being in places like Tahiti or India or some of the rural places, particularly where there is poverty, and you have 5 foot of water. The number of animals that have been now killed, simply drowned, in a country where they think the cow is sacred, atrocious, yet no coverage. But a couple of people throwing a bit of paint on a golf club or a golf match will have coverage. We trivialize it. And humanity is now beginning to learn that this trivial stuff has a consequence. We ignore the real issues. And now, without the governments interacting, it's the communities that are getting together and sorting the situation out, not waiting for a savior. All of this, the reason it's important is to recognize that the egoic sense of self can be quite easily drawn into stories. And you can talk about hours of how bad it is that people can't get to the hospital because you got eco warriors somewhere. And we get involved in a story. And by doing that, we ignore much of the reality that's going on. Why? Because the mental image is being controlled by those outlets that you have access to. If you don't have access to outlets beside that, how will you know? So we begin to realize we can't trust necessarily what we are being informed of. This mental space needs some critical thinking. And the way we do that is that we doubt ourselves. We begin to realize that as we begin to step out of it through our meditation, a trust also begins. We know where we are being misled or not. A trust begins to. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. And become a little bit more human. You know, there's a news article I read today where there was a level of celebration at the fact that cluster bombs can be used in the conflict. We celebrate people being slaughtered. Where does humanity? Do you see how this lens is being distorted? Simply by what we're being taught. So, it's only through a self awareness you will begin to realize that you have an egoic sense of self, this ego bit, but you're not it. You are not that. You are that which sits behind it. And you can regulate this in a way where it becomes a little bit more purposeful in what you do, how you live, and the level of life and quality you have, whether it's in the water or not. Okay, we'll go do a bit of meditation. So, as usual, we begin by adjusting our posture, and we have an intention. And the intention is to be present, to let go of all that's going on and just for a moment, just to be present to yourself. And you're going to do that in a number of ways. And once you begin, you notice that your body and its posture. And see if there's any discomfort anywhere. And if there is, we adjust our posture to make sure that the body is comfortable. And even during meditation, if you feel a level of discomfort, nothing is compelling you to be there in that discomfort. Obviously, you can investigate it, but not need to endure it. Okay, so a quick scan of the body from the top of the head, quite deliberate. Move down, this hula hoop coming down from the top. Allow you to scan your body. And see if you can notice anything that's dominant. So that normally things that draw our attention tend to be pain. So is there any pain anywhere in the body? Ache? Tightness? And then bring your focus now to the seat that you're on. And you want to position yourself, locating yourself in the here and now. Okay, so you're going to do this by recognizing where you are. First, recognize that the chair or the floor holds you. It is significant that you exist in this moment in time with everything else that exists, over and above the trivia around you, the ground beneath you. not forgetting it's part of a giant floating rock and sea, and you happen to be sitting on it. Notice that the environment around you, if you're comfortable, warm, cold, can only be experienced where you are. Recognize the breaths that you are taking right now can only be taken in front of you, with the air that's beside you, the air that's with you. Locating yourself in the here and now. And right this moment, everything else that exists with you. Every individual, every star, every galaxy, every universe, every form of life that exists right now exists with you. Shares the same time and space. Recognizing that. Allowing yourself to be a bit bigger than just our individual self. And now bringing your focus to the sensations where your body makes contact with your seat. And then as you breathe in, bringing your focus up towards your hips. And then on your next breath out, you're going to follow your focus, allowing your awareness to gently go down your thighs. Remember you're scanning all the way towards your knees. From your knees, you begin to move down. Don't hurry. Take your time, moving towards your ankles. Notice your feet. And then moving your focus to the soles of your feet. Bringing your focus back to the seat you're on. Again, recognizing you're held. You can afford to relax the flesh, so to speak. Soften a bit. And then notice that the back is straight and upright. Next breath in, you bring your focus from your lower back towards your middle back. From your middle back, you move up towards your shoulder blades. And then moving your focus to your shoulders. Next breath out, allow this awareness to drift down from your shoulders to your elbows. Remember, you're scanning for sensations. From your elbows, moving down your forearms towards your wrists. And then gently bringing your focus to the palms of your hands. And all we're doing at this moment is simply doing a simple body scan, a self-diagnosis, and then gently bringing your focus towards your fingers. Notice for any sensation that's dominant. If there's no pain, no ache, no tightness, no itch, as you breathe in, bringing your focus towards your eyes. Notice the darkness. Awareness of darkness. Notice that this awareness cannot be switched off, but it can be focused. Focus on the back of your eyelids. Focus on the darkness. Next breath out, allowing your eyes to soften. And as you breathe in, bringing your focus to your mouth. Let's begin with our lips. Gently scanning the top lip from left to right. Scanning the bottom lip from right to left. And then moving your focus within your mouth. Notice the sensations that are dominant. Sensations on the roof of your mouth. Sensations on the inside cheeks. And then bringing your focus to your tongue. Does it feel firm or does it feel soft? Allow it to soften. And again, allow your jaw to soften. And then as you breathe out, allowing your face to soften. Next breath in, once again, becoming aware of your body as best as you can. Once again, notice if there's anything dominant that draws your attention. Any sensation that's dominant, pain, ache, tightness, itch. Once you find anything, locate, no commentary, no judgment. Next breath in, bringing your focus now to your inner space. Becoming aware of your thoughts, your mental space, and your feeling, your emotional state. So bringing your focus to your mental space. Do you feel alert or do you feel drowsy? Do you feel focused or do you feel distracted? And then bringing your focus to your chest. Begin to notice the movement of your chest in relation to your breath. Notice as the breath moves in, your chest expands and rises, and as it relaxes, your breath moves out. Notice that your breath is breathing by itself. If you were to completely let go, your breath would still maintain breathing. Notice the subtle sensations around your ribs. And then gently moving your focus a bit deeper into yourself, right into your very center, your heart center. And you're going to hold your focus there, waiting to notice how you're actually feeling right this moment. Do you feel settled? Does this moment feel peaceful? Do you feel content? Or do you feel agitated, unsettled, discontent? Sukh or dukh, suffering or the absence of suffering, right this moment. Holding your focus right at the very center of your being. And this simple act of doing that allows the body to become calm, the mind and the heart to become coherent, holding your focus at your chest, right into the very center. Next breath out, opening your awareness to all the sounds around you. Simply listening. present. Not working anything out, not thinking about it, simply listening. Gently bring your focus just beneath your nose and begin to watch your breath, allowing the breath to breathe by itself. Your commitment is to hold your focus, know when the breath is coming in and the breath as it goes out, being present to the movement of your breath. Stay with your breath. Notice the in breath as it comes in, notice the out breath as it goes out. Stay with your breath. Notice your in breath has a start, a middle, and end. Your out breath has a start, a middle, and end. See if you can notice that in your breath.